So this is assignment 1 of sports coaching. Today I'm going to be doing pass and merit criteria for this assignment. Obviously, this is Connor Thomas, and today we're going to be doing, first of all, we're going to be doing the roles of a manager, a role model, a friend, and a motivator. So a perfect example of this would be Rafa Benitez. He is the Newcastle United manager, managed some of the biggest teams in the world, the likes of Real Madrid, Inter Milan, and Liverpool. Won so many titles with Liverpool. And I'm going to tell you what the roles and responsibilities technically are of being a manager. So one of the roles is controlling players, controlling a group of players. That's on and off the pitch. So he can go so far as saying if something happens off the pitch, he can do technically whatever he wants with me. Like the club and him can decide whether a football player's been found smoking. Obviously, it's not a good look for that player, not a good look for the club. And also, if he's a role model, if he's their best player and he's one of the best players in the world, a lot of kids are going to look up to him, and this is obviously not good. They can control the players. They can say, right, you're getting fined this much, or you're not getting paid this much this week, or right, I'm going to go 1 match ban, you're not going to be in starting 11, you're not going to be on the bench in the next game. Difference with when they're on the pitch, sometimes it's a bit harder for him to control the players, and if they do get out of hand, sometimes it probably won't go down to his final say. It'll go down to like the governing body. So for football, will be the FA. Also, what the manager does, it has the final say of tactical decisions. This comes down to tactics, formations, and plays. An example of this would be, say, his team, Rafa Benitez's team, was 1-0 up. We have 10 minutes left to go. They can decide, right, I either want to go get that second goal and get a cushion, so we're 2 goals up, and if they score late on, we're still winning because we've got 1 goal. Or we can decide, right, actually, no, I want to try and hold this 1-0 win, and try and concede goals. The way you can do this is by making substitutes. So if you want to get that extra goal, you take off, say, a holding midfielder or a centre midfielder, bring on a striker. That'll get you a goal, hopefully. Or if you want to hold the lead, don't go for another goal, invite pressure on, and hopefully you can defend better. Maybe you take off one of your strikers and put an extra midfielder in, or even maybe an extra defender. It depends what you want to do. But that is what a manager can do. Next one is a role model. This is the rugby coach of England, Eddie Jones. A role model, people look up to him, and people do look up to Eddie Jones. He's managed many teams, played as well in his earlier career. Role models have knowledge and inspiration. Like players will look up to him and think, right, he's got that knowledge, he's got the inspiration that can drive my team on to win this game, and he does that perfectly. As you can see, England's rugby team have gone undefeated all year, and I think there's been a lot more drive in the England rugby team, especially when you play in the game. You see they want to win it, and they have quite a good relationship with their coach, and they always look up to their coach. Also, a big thing about a role model is children, and children love role models. A perfect example of a role model would be David Beckham. Every kid that grew up watched David Beckham and always wanted to do that famous free kick that David Beckham does. Everyone wants to be something to do with rugby now, and a lot more people, I think, especially young children or young adults, as you could say, from about the age of 15 to about 22. A lot more people want to be rugby coaches. There's a lot more courses in college now. And is this all because of Eddie Jones? No, it's not. But he has had a big impact, and it makes it, and he probably feels really good about it because a lot more people are going to do it, and a lot of people look up to him these days. Also, their effects, like your social, your personal, your psychological, and health. If he comes out and says, right, I think kids should eat more greens, kids are going to look up to him and think, oh, he talks sense, he's got knowledge, he's inspirational. I think I should follow what he does. The next one is a friend. In this picture, you can see on the left-hand side is Conor McGregor, probably the most famous UFC fighter ever, and on his right is John Kavanagh as his coach. So being a friend in a coach and student friendship relationship, is quite hard, and not many people can master it, and it gets too far sometimes. What a friend can do as a coach at the same time, they can discuss problems and succeed with their pupils or their students. So Conor McGregor is a two-weight champion in the UFC now. This guy went from being on the dole in in the middle of Dublin, had no money, and then he's went to this gym, and these two have been together ever since. He's only about 26 years old now, so they've been doing it roughly about 10 years. But when this guy went from winning his first fight into the UFC, they always went out after and had drinks. So all his coaches and his family and his training partners all went out and they all had a good time. And after that fight, after every fight he has, they have a couple of days where they'll all just be at his house, or like all loving and they all love each other as friends and family and everything. Also, these two do see each other. They go around each other's house on Christmas Day. They normally do go to Conor's parents' house, his mum and dad. And John Kavanagh will be invited. Like, he is one of the family. He is a very, very good friend of his. And these two have shared so much success in the years, but they also have such a good time outside of it. One thing that I do think about good about this relationship is it never goes over the line. It's always right. I'm your coach, I might be your friend, but you do this and you will win. And Conor completely accepts it, and he doesn't look at him as a friend, I don't think. When they're training, he looks at him as a coach. But as soon as training's over, and like say Conor's trying to make weight, they'll go for some food, and it'll all be like friendly, and they are really, truly just best friends. And the last one is the motivator. So this is Chris Eubank Jr. on the right, and this is Chris Eubank Jr. on the left, and Chris Eubank on the right. Chris Eubank, one of the most amazing English boxers we've ever had in this country. Fought many of fights, won many of titles, and his son is trying to replicate that. Obviously, it's a big feat for him. But Chris Eubank is a huge, huge motivator. And what you need to be a motivator is positive feedback all the time. And if you watch, Chris Eubank is his corner coach, and he just does it with abundance. He tells him, right, you're doing this right, well done, you're doing this, well done. And it's always just motivating him in the corner, and it's really good to see, obviously, because these are like father and son relationships in sport probably don't go down too well majority of the time, but he's a huge motivator, and I think we see it in Chris Eubank Jr. because Junior is so what's the word? He's so like enthusiastic, and he knows that he can do really well in this sport, and it is a perfect example. Next, we're going on to the responsibilities. So we're going on to professional behaviour, health and safety, and equal opportunities. So first one, health and safety. When you take a session as your coach, you need to do risk assessments, make sure everything is done, nothing hazardous on the floors, no water, everything. Make sure the ground is safe. So another point of that, make sure the venue is safe. It's in the middle of winter, you're in the start of December or start of January, just come back off the holidays, taking a session, your first lesson at college, and its pitch is frozen. You can't take a lesson on that frozen pitch. Got to make sure you check your equipment all the time. Remove all hazards, especially water, people falling over. Just simple stuff that every coach needs to do, especially the risk assessment. And if there is a problem, make sure you get over it, write it down, and what you can do next time for it if you do a similar session and all that sort of business. Also, make sure you have a contingency plan. So obviously it's the plan B, and obviously you get on with it and try and do the best you can and get your session underway. Next one is professional behaviour. Professional behaviour always and look professional. So when you're taking a session, make sure you look professional. No earrings in, no jewellery, correct clothing. But then when you're talking, don't start using slang. So don't start saying just simple things like, right, we're going to take a jog. Right, no, we're going to take a pulse raiser at the start. Or we're going to do a few stretches. No, we're going to do dynamic stretches. So make sure you're saying the right things and all that. Also for professional behaviour, highest level of responsibility. You are responsible for the session. You are responsible for what everyone else does. You are responsible for injuries. You're responsible for anything that happens in that session. So you've got to have your highest level of responsibility during your professional behaviour. And the last one is equal opportunities. Creating a friendly environment is the perfect way. If you have someone that is really, really good at football and they have someone that's struggling, equal opportunities. Make sure the skills are a bit more easier to start, then progress it all the way up. Also another one is all people equal opportunities to overcome barriers. So basically this means that This means that, like I just said, make sure you got the people that are struggling. It's built up slowly. If you have like 10 or 15 kids, and you have 10 or 15 kids, you have 30 kids altogether, and you have 15 kids that are really good, 15 kids that are not so good. Split them up. Make them sure that they're doing not easier stuff for like the easy kids or the kids that struggle with it, but make sure it's based for them. And maybe if you give it a couple of weeks and then try and adapt the kids that struggle with it, adapt their skills. And you never know, in a couple of, or 6-7 weeks, maybe even a couple of months, like 3-4 months, at the end of the year, you might be able to have a massive game and all the skills might be similar. Next one is skills. So we've got time management, communication, and organisation. So first you've got time management. Being on time, perfect start. Being on time for that session. Time management, session length. Make sure every session never runs over time. It's pretty embarrassing if you think, right, I haven't got enough time for a game now, we're just going to go in. You ain't got enough time for a cool down, something like that. And the last one, time management, is each drill length. Make sure each drill is a perfect length so it fits in your time slot. If you have a half an hour time slot, make sure it fits in. If you have an hour time slot, make sure it fits in. The next one is organisation. Organisation is pretty much simple. Obviously, organisation, being on time to a lesson, is the same as time management. Next one is all equipment sorted, all your equipment. Don't forget any equipment. Make sure you have a session plan. You don't want to go to a lesson and try and think off the top of your head if it's like a lesson that you do every week. And just make sure you always got a plan B. Organisation is always, right, what am I going to do if this happens? What am I going to do if this happens? Well, I'll make sure I got everything this, make sure I got all of that. And the last one for that is don't run over time. Pretty simple one. The last one is communication. For communication, you want to share important information with your students. Make sure they're doing the right skill. If they're not doing the right skill, tell them how to do the right skill. So you motivate your athletes. You say, right, I want you to do this. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. And it eventually will improve pupils' abilities because they will be watching you and they will take your word for it, and they will look up to you as well. Then you become a role model. And the last one is techniques. First one, goal setting. Create a goal for your student. Goal setting is a simple thing for anyone, professional football, professional judo, professional basketball, or even the lower leagues like grassroots football. Goal setting, right? I've got a little team. It's like say it's a 7-a-side team who are 11 years old. Right, I want to win 5 games this season. You got 15 games in the season. That's 15 games. That's 33%. So you need to have with goal setting, you need them to be realistic and time bound. Realistic means basically that it suits your person. You should be able to get it done, but it might be a little bit harder, so you might have to try a little bit harder. And time bound is you need to do it in a certain amount of time. And also this goal setting will motivate your players. It will want them to play better and it will want them to do it. And if you have a reward for that, right, you go win this tournament, say as a judo athlete, you go win this tournament, I'll buy your KFC after. That's what personally me and my dad used to do when I was younger, and I thought, I really like KFC, so I want to go do it as my goal to win this competition. 5 fights, 5 wins, not on the mat, no longer than 8 minutes. That is one of my goals. That was one of my goals, and I used to hit it now and then. And even if I got into a really hard competition, sometimes right, you didn't win all your fights, you came second, but I'm still going to buy your KFC. Next one is an effective demonstration. Demonstration is key in coaches because it shows the students what you want them to do, and then if you got a drill that's a little bit complicated, it makes it easier for them to look and see, and it's just so much easier. They can see it, and yeah, and then they know how to do the drill correctly then. And then if they want to go on to that later on in life, they want to do coaching, they know that a demonstration is key to their session. And the last one for this is analysis. And basically, analysis is you watch them and you think, right, I didn't like how you took that free kick last week because it wasn't in the right way. So they'll probably watch the game from last week and they'll say, right or wrong technique. I said, right, I think you need to use the inside of your foot for that free kick. It's too far out. It's harder to use your laces from there, and that's a decent opportunity, and we could win the game. Yeah, sorry for amount of time, but I hope you enjoyed the PowerPoint. Thank you.